our morning practice coming to you live from Barrel. Just give me a second to get all of the different things set up, but behind you is where we'll be practicing a Yin Yoga class today. So get yourself some props, get yourself some blocks, get yourself some mats, and I'll be with you in one moment. I just have to click a couple more things here to connect live and allow me to see that everything is going correctly. And I'm back here again. So that one there, go live. And let me just have a little look at that. Is that nice setup? I think so. Might be a little easier if it's about there. Okay. Nice. All right, so good morning and welcome. Today's practice will be a Yin Yoga class. So gather up some blocks and props. I have two blocks down here. I've got my blanket folded up. I have a cushion, and I'm just going to jump over and grab a bolster. So feel free to take yourself into that position, arriving with your mat. And so just place a few of those props off to one side. I'm going to place the blanket about where my knees are and opening my knees out wide, bringing the big toes to touch and sitting back on the heels. Place the bolster out in front of you directly from the groin and pelvis. Lift the chest and then start to roll down the bolster. And allow yourself to rest your torso and your forehead on the bolster. I'm just going to use a block to elevate my head so that I don't compact the microphone. And then just begin to close down your eyes. And so a Yin Yoga class is my little reward to myself after a stressful and anxious-filled week. It's a little reward to the body to say thank you for all that it does for us throughout our busy weeks. And this pose is such an evocative pose. It's called child's pose. And it really gives you a sense of surrender. Now, it's not surrendering to something that is malicious. It's surrendering to that inner child. It's accepting that we place conditions upon ourselves, we place boundaries and barriers, and we want to act like an adult. But just arriving here in this sense of childlike expression. A mind full of joy and happiness rather than all of the thoughts, regurgitating again and again. And feel into the softness that you can create across the front of your tummy. And recognize the quality of your breath. See if you can even notice how the breath arrives in the nostrils and it feels a little cool. And then it flows through the channels of the throat, down into the lungs, and as it does so, it's like a funnel of movement that flows along the back of the lungs, the bottom of the lungs, massaging the spine. Perhaps here where you do feel some tension and compression is at the creases of your hips. At the moment, we are creating artificial blockages at those joints and the knees and the hips as the compression prevents the flow of energy. And in doing so, we allow the welling up of the fluids behind the compression to begin to prepare to flush out the channels that are momentarily blocked. And just stay for a few more moments, just cooling the eyes, softening the torso, and encouraging some really wonderful deep breaths. These next few moments, take about 5 long, steady breaths. See if you can trace them, inhaling through the nose, feeling the buoyancy of the chest as it widens and lifts with the arrival of the bountiful breath. And recognize the release that comes with the exhale breath. The inhale is full of vitality, vibrancy, and the exhale just permits that little bit of extra melting and softening of releasing. One more cycle of breath here. And you begin to lift the torso, lift the head away from your props. And then you make your way up into your tabletop position, all fours. Slide your bolster and your pillows away from you to the top of the mat. And from an all fours position, start to move through the spine with natural intuition. So allowing flexion and extension, rounding, and just allow this to be supernatural. See if you can isolate the movement to originate in the pelvic bowl. So tucking and tilting, maneuvering the spine with energy. That allows for the hydration of tissues along the spine. The neck, the shoulders, close down your eyes now and move in a way that feels really natural. I call it sexy cat because it's this opportunity just to tune into how cats can be so supremely comfortable by maneuvering their body in ways that allow them to ease into it. And changing the orientation of your hands, getting funky in the wrists and the elbows. Even could tuck your toes behind you and shift the weight back towards your heels to stretch the soles of your feet. And so speaking of pets around the house, we know cats just create this supreme comfortableness, but in almost everyone, a universal admiration for how playful puppies can be. Well, let's take our puppy pose now. So I like to make sure my big toes are at the back of the mat and take my bolster out in front of me, horizontal to the short edge of the mat. And then I start to keep the hips over the knees and place the forearms on the bolster and maneuver so that the elbows are just on that little leading edge right near me as I slowly start to lower the head down and create a prayer position with the palms over the head, Namaskar Mudra. And then just letting the chest and the torso soften towards the mat. Tuning into the area around our shoulders, the muscles of the underarm. And then in particular, the big muscles along the spine and the back body. Allowing gravity to do the work here. Resting into the field of gravity. This beautiful layer of cling film that provides structure around our entire body, the connective tissues. And what we are tuning into here. Many of us can recognize the muscles and probably understand there's tendons and ligaments and bones, but the connective tissue can be a little unknown. It's literally everywhere in the body. And this practice is aimed at hydrating those tissues, easing into the nervous system, which therefore allows the body to discover an edge that perhaps creates an experience, something like a 6 out of 10. So if 1 was, I'm not feeling anything at all, and 10 was, this feels electric, I'm in pain, you are in an area that feels sensational. And just taking a few more moments here in your puppy pose. And then using some of the strength of the elbows and the triceps to lift your head, and as you do so, look forward and start to shift the torso forward and arrive so that your bolster can be slid just underneath your lowest ribs, placing your forearms down in front of you and finding your way into Sphinx pose. If you do have a few props, place them out in front of you, perhaps creating a little tower with your blocks. And I like to rest the forehead on those blocks. And then widening the stance of the legs behind you. And staying here for about 3 minutes. And you're feeling into the extension along the spine. And that little bit of extra support underneath the ribs. This helps to elevate the chest. If you're fortunate enough to have some blocks like I do under the forehead and the third eye is resting upon them, you might like to rock the forehead from right to left. And we'll stay here for a few more moments. And starting to awaken the body back from your Sphinx pose. And if it is in your practice to feel a bigger extension along the spine and pressing into the palms and lifting the chest a little deeper and lifting it a little higher, find your way into Seal for a few moments. And then begin to make your way back to all fours position, tabletop. Keep your props as they were there. Maybe shuffle the knees a little closer towards your bolster and step your right foot over the top of the bolster so that it's forward, and come into a lunge position here. So using some props to allow the hands to create elevation in the chest to begin with here. If you'd like some extra padding underneath the back knee, you can do that as well. Allowing yourself here to determine whether you want to shift a little weight forward, whether you want to take some weight backwards, whether you want to use some props to lower your forearms down onto. You might create that little stack there and maintain this position. Because this is a yin pose, the alignment isn't so integral. We're not really concerned that you're going to overstretch or create some sort of danger in your joints here, because you will be the manager of your own experience. So if that knee of the front leg wants to shift forward, to the side, it's entirely up to you. We're not dynamically moving here. We're not shifting back and forth, right or left. We're trying to maintain some stillness so that we can tune back into that 6 out of 10. Something that really creates some sensation and a mild amount of stress, but stress in a good way. In Yin Yoga, we use different names for poses that we recognize in our more traditional active yoga. So dragon here is a name for a lunge position. And the reason we use these different names is so that we immediately begin to think it's something different. So that we take our mind out of that active doing state and we take ourselves into the slower, stiller state. We wear our busyness as a badge of honor in our very, very hurried lives. Or here on the mat in a Yin Yoga class, it's all about doing less to achieve more. So final few moments here as you start to feel that length across the front of the left hip, where the back knee is down behind you. Might even feel a little bit of effort in the underside of the right thigh and the right hip. So from here, we'll re-lift the chest and we'll come into a sleeping swan position. So that's why we've left the bolster where it is. And in doing so, keep the front foot forward and just shuffle it across to the left side. So you're literally just toe heeling the foot across to the left side of the mat. And as you start to do that, you recognize how the hips want to shift forward. And you're going to arrive on your little throne here. And this throne is your pillows, your bolsters, whatever it is underneath you. And that elevation in your pelvis and the support you gather from that, it's going to create some deep sensation, but you're going to feel quite nurtured by it. Again, those of you with knee issues or would like some extra padding, you can always double up the mat or blanket behind you and place the knee on top of that. In fact, I'm going to do that. Just give that knee a little bit of softness back there. With that elevation now in the pelvis, using your other blocks and props out in front of you, you'll start to lower the forearms down and you'll lower the forehead down. So you're very supported by the elevation of your hips and the pelvis, using either a rolled up blanket, very thick blanket underneath you, or maybe if you're fortunate enough to own a bolster. Perhaps if you have a very big cushion, that could work as well. Many of us experience a deep sensation in our sleeping swan. A tremendous amount of stress and anxiety can maintain stickiness and gooiness in our hips. We spend too long in a sedentary position now, sitting for our work, for our commute, for all aspects of our lives. It could be a nice opportunity just to recheck in with the quality of your breath, the quality of your thoughts. We will stay for another 10 breaths. And over these final few moments and these final few breaths, just see if you can let the tension and the stress and the anxiety of that thigh just to melt away. And you slowly start to lift your chest, walk the hands back, and there's no really elegant way to do this other than to shift your hips back and release the foot back behind you, coming back into your tabletop position, and perhaps here just taking a little bit of movement through your cow and cat, rolling through the spine and feeling into how the energy flows back through the leg now. For me, it's like a river of warmth flooding back down through the leg. And how about we do all that on the other side? So the first one we'll set up for our dragon. So we lift the left leg, left foot, step the left foot forward in front of our bolster. We come forward into our lunge position. We look for props that we might like to use underneath our hands to elevate the torso. And we determine the position of that front knee according to our own body type, feeling confident that we are the agent of our own practice. Knowing that this is not a dynamic yoga practice, so you are able to find alignment here that allows you to tune into your subtle body. We are so fortunate that to have that natural intuition, that trust, and often we don't listen to it, we know that. And we don't listen to it because of all of the conditioning that we've placed upon ourselves, all the past experiences. And so this practice is a nice opportunity just to trust yourself, to let yoga show up. It does so when you want to get out, when you want to give up, when you want to change channels, when you want to move on, when the next shiny object arrives for the distractions. So let this be your shiny new object. Let this be the distraction that you stay with. Just noticing the quality of the breath again. Notice the quality of the thoughts. So if you have got some props out in front of you, let's slide them forward just ever so slightly and begin to maneuver that front foot across your mat to the right side. So as it toe heels across the body, you start to feel how the hips want to shift forward and arrive on that bolster. Looking back, I'm going to double over that blanket behind me underneath my knee. Just finding that position, beginning to lower the forearms down and folding the torso over the thigh to create that compression, to create the sleeping swan. Taking a number of very deep breaths now, really filling up the lungs, recognizing how the breath can expand across the upper back and hydrate those tissues between the shoulder blades. Can encourage the space between the ribs to expand and the beautiful little muscles to play like an accordion. And in doing so, recognize how the breath can help temper the sensations. Just softening into the stress that comes with this position. And as you encourage in, say about 5 more long, steady breaths. Just stay with me. Starting to walk the hands back towards the knee and the ankle so that your torso lifts. And in doing so, take yourself onto the left hip. So you just sort of slide back off the bolster and swing the right leg forward. Remove the props underneath you that are elevated and allow them to feel cushioned as we start to roll ourselves down our spine and lie down on our back. Place a cushion or a bolster behind the back of your head and let the knees be elevated by the cushion out in front of you. Drape the arms out to the sides and arrive in your Shavasana. Close down your eyes. And for the next few moments, just let the body completely give in to the field of gravity. And let the breath be really natural. Allow the heels to be on the mat, but the feet to roll in whatever direction they wish. Let the muscles of the calves feel all spongy and soft. The hollows of the knees to feel really spacious. Allow the longest bone in your body, the femur, to rest down into all of the big muscles around it in the thigh. The watery realm of the pelvis feels really neutral. And the curve in the lumbar spine feels really warm. See if you can let more of the back of the ribs rest down on the mat and spread wide. Tucked up in the cavity of the ribs, the essential organs, the heart, the lungs, the diaphragm. Naturally, automatically practicing maintaining your vital rhythm. The shoulders are spread and the collarbones are wide, and the arms rest down into the tissues of the upper arms and the forearms and the hands. Now just let a few rounds of breath come and go where you feel the belly lift and lower. See how the neck feels supported by your cushion or pillow. The back of the head rests down on the mat and the brain rests back in the skull. The eyes are like beautiful pools of cool water. And the jaw and the tongue are relaxed and the teeth are separated. And stay in this supreme sense of rest now for a few moments. If your time zone is evening and you're about to drift off to sleep, please stay in this position. But if you're like me and about to head out into your day, start to wiggle your fingers and wriggle the toes, roll the wrists and roll the ankles. And then on the next inhale, extend the arms overhead, point the toes, and wake yourself up for the second time this morning. And then from that position, rolling onto your preferred hip in a fetal position that rounds the spine, draws the chin towards the chest, and stay here for a moment as you bathe yourself in love and gratitude. And then slowly start to swing your way up into your version of a comfortable seat, crossed legs, elevated on your bolster. Place your hands on your knees and close down your eyes. And take your awareness from the fabric of your skin into the contours of your muscles and through into the web of your nerves. Encouragement to tune into how the opposing sentiments now occur in the body. Is there a tendency for more freedom and fluidity in the body after we've practiced our 40-minute yin class? Or with a kindness and compassionate heart space awareness, if you do recognize areas that still feel a little sticky or gripping or tense, just remind yourself that that's okay, because you need opposing sentiments in all portions of our lives. Bringing your hands into heart center, drawing your chin towards your chest. Thanking yourself for showing up and practicing today. Thanking yourself for taking the time out of your day. And just allowing yourself a few moments to set yourself up for the rest of your wonderful day. From me to you, have a wonderful one, and I'll see you again real soon. Tomorrow morning, in fact, for our Saturday morning practice. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me.